Does this go far enough to help those private renters? Many will feel that, the odds are still stacked against them with something like this.
Well, the Renters' Rights Bill is about putting the balance in place.
Perfectly balanced, as all things should be.
For too long, the previous government promised that they put more protections in for renters, failed to do that. And what we're going to do is give renters more protections and make sure that we've still got those rental properties.
Chancellor Rachel Reeves has admitted breaking housing law. Well, that's all right then.
Ladies and gentlemen, it finally happened. The Renters' Rights Bill, yes, that's the things politicians have been dangling in front of us like a carrot for about a decade, has actually become law. They're calling it the biggest shake-up in renting for over 30 years, which you've ever rented in Britain. You know it isn't saying much, because the last shake-up was probably just your ceiling collapsing from damp. What's new? Well, for starters, you can now rent indefinitely. No more 12-month fixed terms. It's what they call a rolling tenancy. So basically, if you want to stay, you can. If you want to leave, you can. And if your landlord wants to just throw you out because you're an absolute
Wankers! Fucking embarrassing. Waste of our time. Fucking waste of our time.
just because they're bored, they can't. Section 21 of the infamous no-fault eviction has finally been binned, gone, kaput, tossed into the bureaucratic recycling bin of history. Now, and it's hard to remember that people made this shit up in the first place. Now, landlords can only boot you out if they're selling up, they're moving in, or you've been, shall we say, creatively delinquent with your rent for 3 months. It is a triumph for renters, and I completely agree with it, and it should have been done ages ago. And it's a mild heart attack for anyone who's ever said, property is my pension. Of course, this is Britain, okay, so there's always fine print. The government says this is about ending the injustice of tenants being trapped paying rent for substandard properties, which is a lovely idea, except that most of Britain is substandard property, and you'll still need to give 2 months' notice to leave. The landlord will still be able to increase rent once a year to the market rate, which if you live anywhere in it south of Stoke means eye-wateringly fucking high. They're also bringing in something called awabs law, which forces landlords to fix mould and damp within a set time frame. Now that's revolutionary, because until now, fixing damp in Britain has usually just meant painting over it, pretending it's an avant-garde mural. There's also the decent home standard, which sounds noble until you realise it's basically just your home should not be an active health hazard. A radical idea, apparently, in the year 2025. Tenants can now also request pets, and landlords cannot unreasonably refuse, which is marvellous. Finally, your cat can legally reside with you instead of being listed on the tenancy agreement as a very fluffy friend, or as a very fluffy cushion. Although knowing British landlords, they'll still try, sorry, no pets, because the guinea pig might scuff the skirting board. And bidding wars where desperate tenants used to offer over the asking rent just to get the keys is now banned, which is fantastic, because nothing says broken housing market like people bidding for the privilege are paying £1,800 for a month for a one-bed flat above a kebab shop. University students are also not left out. University landlords will be able to boot them out with 2 weeks' notice, which is roughly the amount of time it takes to finish one essay and start panicking about the next one. Meanwhile, private landlords are renting to students can also evict between terms, because apparently even the Renters' Rights Bill can't stop the eternal migration of hungover 20-year-olds with beanbags. The landlord's response to this has been... it's been good. It's been chef's kiss levels of melodrama. Chris Norris from the National Residential Landlords Association said landlords are nervous and feel uncertain. Fucking would do, wouldn't you? And it's basically Westminster speak for furious, but trying to sound polite on camera. Some say the bill will cause mass landlord exodus. Yes, because heaven forbid they are forced to provide housing that isn't held together by prayers and sellotape. One called it a slow car crash. Now, don't get me wrong, this is progress. It is real progress, which I do welcome, but it's also Britain, which means these changes might not actually start for another year, maybe two, maybe when we've all moved to Spain. And remember, even if landlords can't evict you, easily, they can still make your life miserable in the most traditional British way. Ah yes, the roof leaks. It's a feature of the property. So yes, the great renters revolution has begun. Tenants are a little safer, landlords are a little angrier, and the government has managed to look heroic in the midst of them looking fucking awful. And they're only just catching up with Scotland from 2017. But hey, in the end, if this means you can finally have a cat, and you can finally have a mould-free wall, and the basic human right to not be randomly evicted, then maybe, just maybe, we have made progress. Now, if only someone could tell landlords that they've actually got to reply to emails, would truly be living in a golden age. I've been Jake from Just Jake. Do not forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I'll see you next time.